Last week I visited Krakow in Poland and a very special place in history, Auschwitz. This isn't a history channel or me giving my views on what's happened because I'm always someone who doesn't like to give a perspective of something I don't know all the facts of, and obviously something that I wasn't around in my lifetime whatsoever. But I think it's something we can all truly agree that is unthinkable in the modern world we're living in, even despite everyone having such mixed views and opinions on things in the world. But if you want to go find out more on exactly what happened, then there's some great YouTube channels out there. There's some great documentaries for you to go find out more about the history of Auschwitz. So definitely go check those out. Something I find really interesting, learning about the history, and something like this is just so eye-opening and just so unprecedented. I guess you can say that stuff like this is still happening to this day, with stuff going on in Israel and North Korea. Stuff like this still happens, of course, but for it to happen so kind of close to where in Europe, and for it to happen in the manner of it happening is just truly unthinkable for me, that it was less than 80 years ago. But I'm just going to give you some thoughts that I had of my experience when I went to visit Auschwitz last week. The first point that I wanted to make was I love the raw and authenticity that remains of Auschwitz. It's not like you go to your average tourist destination where you have gift shops and cafes everywhere. Obviously, yes, you probably wouldn't expect that in somewhere like this, but they've virtually kept everything intact, like all the gas chambers, all the concentration camps, where everything is pretty much there other than the stuff that had been destroyed, and the memorabilia, the suitcases, the shoes, the belongings of all the poor people who lost their lives during this very difficult and awful time of humanity. And the second point is, I feel this was a real good reminder, very cliche, but of how easy we have life these days compared to what these people had to go through 80 years ago, and to truly appreciate what we have. Because I know myself, I moan about stuff, and I'm just, when you have moments like this and really truly recognize what a lot of people had to go through, then you have to just be like, we have it so fucking easy compared to so many people, and so many people just get so down bad about the smallest inconvenience from their life. I'm just like, yeah, but obviously I know it's different times we're living in, but I feel it's really good for gratitude and just appreciating what you have. I know, we live in different times, and this is like, it's something that doesn't really happen anymore. But I feel when you're there and seeing it, especially the final point I wanted to make was I visited in the winter, as you can see, with the snow, and it made it more even just real and scary of what people would have to go through in the harsh winters of Poland, where it could get to like minus 15, 20 degrees, which is unthinkable. All the people would have to wear is like pajamas, and that's all they were given. Also in the summer, when it would get a lot hotter, it can get quite warm in these places, 25, 30 degrees in the summer, and it's like, that is at the end of the day, that's what killed a lot of people off, and that's how a lot of people do end up dying in these kind of conditions. But it just made it so much more real, and just to think like, how would you live in like these types of conditions? And I feel like that, if you want to go visit it, I feel like if you go visit in winter, it will give you even more just an experience of how bad things could possibly get for these people. But anyway, that's enough of me just talking about Auschwitz, because like I said, I don't want to comment much on like what happened and stuff, because it's not really my place. Just a bit of my perspective of how it felt when I was there. Very, very moving, and I feel like if you were going to Krakow, it is something that you have to see, whether you think it's like it will be too much for you. I think you just have to go and experience it. And like I say, it's a massive piece of the history of humanity, and I feel like you need to see that. But Krakow, a very beautiful city. I found amazing architecture. I went to Budapest in Hungary, and it reminded me a lot of that. Very nice, very tall buildings, very beautiful city, very clean. People were very friendly and nice. A lot of people, I was quite surprised, it's probably the country I've been to in where I found that people didn't speak English a lot naturally. And obviously I'm not saying this as bad at all, because when I go to these countries, even if I go to Spain where pretty much everyone speaks English there, I feel rude and ignorant that I don't know the language. And the same here, because you can't really expect them to just speak English. I know a lot of people travel, hear them speak like how do you not know English? Like that's basically what they're saying in their tone of voice. I'm just like, well, it's not their first language. What Polish do you know? What Spanish do you know? What Italian? Like it just, the English expectation is just everyone has to speak English, and if they don't, then that's their problem, not mine. I shouldn't have to cater for their nationality or language barrier, which is just completely ignorant. But anyway, it was the biggest find that I found, which I kind of did know coming into going to visit there, because I've been to somewhere like Hungary where it is cheaper too, is that it was just about half the price of somewhere like London in the UK, where it is very expensive nowadays. And even just kind of, you could take any kind of big city in England and it would pretty much be half the price. Like some of the meals, when me and my sister went out for food, it would come to less than like £40 for both of us, and getting like a food starter and like drinks involved. So that is very cheap. If you went in England, that would probably cost you, I think you can easily say that's £80-90. So I'd say on average it is about half the price of the UK. And I've seen a few people commented on my video about why the UK is so miserable and recommending Poland. But initially I felt like, oh, I don't want to go there. It's freezing cold, which it is freezing cold. It was so cold. I remember one day it was about -8 or so in the morning, which is the coldest place I've ever been to. I've been to Iceland too, but that was May, so it wasn't too bad. But it was freezing there. There was snow. It was very cold, and it can get a lot colder too, even more so in the winter. And I just thought, it doesn't look very nice. I wouldn't know the language, and yeah, it just doesn't appeal to me. But I could completely see why people from the UK would be like, you know what, I've had enough of living in England. It's shit. I don't really like the culture. It's just the weather's awful, which I'm obviously in Poland. It's not amazing either, but just going somewhere where it's kind of the air feels a lot fresher and it's not raining all the time. I much prefer to be in the cold weather where it's like snowy and it looks quite nice, and you might have the sun some days, whereas in England it's just raining a lot of the time. So I can completely understand. You could live a lot better life out there. You could get a property, high quality property over there, and live a lot better life, when you can see that the UK has deteriorated a lot over the last few years, and probably it's not going to get too much better over the next few years. Maybe 10-20 years later it will get a lot better. So I completely understand why a lot of people would go do that, and maybe it would be something that I would consider. For me, the language and the weather would be probably a problem why I wouldn't do it. But like I say, I see why people do it. And if I was you and you're like, I've had enough of it here in the UK, why not give Poland a go? Is my thoughts from that. And regarding travelling on a budget, because this is kind of going to be the second video. I haven't been away since, I haven't done a video with this series since I went to Malaga. I think which was the start of August, and I haven't been away too much since then. Obviously it's not a long time in the grand scheme of things, but for me, I'm someone who likes to spend quite a bit of my money on travelling and seeing the world. So for me, it has been quite a big break, because I've travelled quite a lot in 2023, which has been a big privilege. I'm not saying this at all, and just something I do enjoy. But it's been a while, so hopefully get a few more of these. But it's probably going to be one of the cheapest ones that I will ever kind of film, really. So I did the flights, the Airbnb, car park, trip to Auschwitz, went to the salt mines there too. And this was for me and my sister in total to go there for 3 nights. It worked out about £380 roughly, which would work out about £190 each for that. And when you think about it, I always say to people, you just sacrifice a few nights out in your hometown, which are not good anyway. Everyone knows this. They say the same thing. It's the same thing every time, and I don't like it, but they still do it anyway. But I just think you could just do this, experience so much more, see different places, become more cultured, learn, come back with different perspective and experience every single time going to these places around Europe. Not too far, you could go to for 2 nights, 3 nights, just for a long weekend, and you could come back and then get back to work on the Monday. It's not hard. It's just a different way of spending your weekend, which I think is so much better than what you could do around here, and that's what I would encourage you to do. So overall, yeah, very cheap. Obviously there was other stuff there that you have to consider, like food and stuff, but like I say, it wasn't very cheap. You could go to the supermarkets and just buy food there instead of going out, which we went out most of the time. And stuff like transports, tram in Poland, very easy to get, very cheap. You can get across Poland, you can get to different countries on the train as well, if that's something you're into. But other than that, there's not really a lot more you would really have to pay for shopping. We went to a couple of the shops there, but most of the English ones were kind of similar in price. If you go to kind of the big names, it won't be too much cheaper. But if you go to some more of the local brands, there will be a lot more in terms of the cost of living. There will be pretty similar to Poland, not as much as the UK. So it's beneficial to maybe buy some stuff over there to make it a lot cheaper for yourself. But yeah, that's the second episode of Travelling on a Budget, when I went to Auschwitz and Krakow in Poland. If you want to see more of this, then leave a comment, drop a like below. It's all appreciated. My one-to-one personal coaching link will be left below. And like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.